शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay. So last time we were looking at Garuda Purana, Vayu Purana, and if you remember, we saw about different birds, animals, trees, how they are born through the different daughters of Daksha, that is Surasa, Krodavasha, Vinata, Takshaka, Kadru, and so on. So Takshaka is the serpent. So basically you can consider as a cousin brother of Garuda, and so on. Next, the sages who are present, they ask Lomaharshana the next question, that is, who exactly are ancestors, who are our Pitrus, why do we worship them, and so on. So for that, Lomaharshana, he tells them a story. He tells that when Brahma first started the process of creation, it seems that at that time all the gods were born, and these gods, they did not worship Brahma alone. That is, they used to worship all other gods, but alone Brahma they did not worship. And therefore Brahma cursed them that all of you will become ignorant, that is, you will lose all your knowledge. And now the gods learnt a lesson. So basically you can consider that all the gods, they became very proud of themselves, that now we have got divine powers, we don't have to worship our creator, and so on. So later they realize their mistake and they try to cool down Brahma. They ask for his forgiveness. So Brahma says that you will have to perform penance, tapasya, for many years together. And it seems that these gods, what they did is, they started the process of creation by themselves. So once Brahma blessed them with divine powers, they too started creating these other beings. So therefore Brahma, what he told was, how you will be free from this curse is how to do penance and so on. You ask the beings whom you have created. So you have also started the process of creation. So you yourself ask all those beings who are there, and they will instruct you what exactly you should do, what kind of penance you should do, and so on. So ultimately, the sons, it seems that they instructed their father, and that is the beings who were created by the Lord, and a person who instructs is known as a father, that is nothing but Pita. So therefore that's how these children, they came to be known, that is the beings who were created by the Lord, they came to be known as Pita or father. That's how we call our ancestors as Pitamaha, meaning people who actually instruct us or who guide us. So they are all Pita. Now the sons of the gods, they were like as if they have become the fathers of the gods now, and they were worshipped as Pitrus or ancestors. And these are the Pitrus whom we offer different things at the time of Shraddha and so on. And it also includes these Pitrus, they also include our dead ancestors and also the 10 Prajapatis who rule over the entire universe. So this is how the concept of Pitru came in. So whatever the Shraddha Karma that we do, the last rites that we do of a person, or even the Pitru Paksha that will come towards the end of this month. So at the time, end of this month, after the Ganesh Chaturthi that is there, immediately from the next day you have the Pitrupaksha Kala that starts. Now further, it so happened that these ancestors, these Pitrus, they had a daughter called Mena or Menaka, who was later married on to Himavan or Himalayas. Now this Mena or Menaka, she is none but the mother of Parvati. She is actually the daughter of these Pitrus, and it seemed that Himavan and Menaka, they had three daughters: Aparna, Ekaparna, and Ekapatala. Aparna, Ekaparna, Ekapatala. And these three daughters, they meditated for many years together. Ekapatala, it seems that she meditated under a snake god tree. Snake god is nothing but Patala. Patala, one meaning is hell. Another word for the snake god, the vegetable that we eat. So basically it is, now I don't know if anyone has seen a snake god plant. Usually it seems to be like a creeper or climber. Usually it should be like a, you can consider not a normal plant, because it's quite long, right? So therefore it should be a sort of creeper or a climber, you can consider. So this Ekapatala, this daughter of Menaka and Himalaya, she did penance under this Ekapatala tree. That's how she gets the name. And each day she ate only one Eka Patala, that is one snake god. That's how she gets the name of Eka Patala. Next, the word Parana means leaf. Eka Parana, she ate only one leaf every day and thus she got the name. Aparana, that is goddess Parvati herself, she did not eat anything. So Aparana, one who did not consume even a leaf, she came to be known as Aparana. Another name for her is Uma, another name is Parvati. She was a daughter of the mountain Parvata, Himalaya, which is a mountain Parvata. That's how she gets the name Parvati. Later, Parvati was married to Shiva, and that's how Skanda, Kumara, or Kartikeya, he was born through them. And Skanda, he got separated from his parents. He was brought up by the Kritikas, who are the different goddesses or nakshatras, and that's how he gets the name of Kartikeya. So, here if you see, you have more sections that talk about funeral ceremonies, last rites and so on. So Vayu Purana also stresses a bit on that, about the importance of Pitrus, the rituals that we do and so on. So that little we have already seen in other Puranas. That's how the karma has to be done, how you take up those rice balls, Pindadanam and so on. We have already seen in before Purana. It will also get repeated in a few other Puranas. So Vayu Purana doesn't go very deep in it, but yes, it does highlight about last rites and so on. Further, and towards the end, it also talks about the three daughters of Menaka and Himalaya: Ekaparana, Ekapatala, Aparana. Aparana is none but Parvati or Uma, and how she gets married to Shiva and how Subramanya is born to them. This reference is mentioned in the Vayu Purana. Now, the next topic, the Vayu Purana talks about the solar line or the Surya Vamsha. So, in the Surya Vamsha, now, when we talk about the solar line, in the Vayu Purana, you have the story of Surya, who's there. That is how the sun god was born. Now, in the Markandeya Purana also, there is a reference that took place was all the demons, they were troubling the gods. So, ultimately, the mother of gods, Aditi, she prayed that the Lord's son, that is Surya, should be born as her son, so as to kill all the demons. So, that's how Surya was born as an egg, as an anda. And it seemed that for days together, the egg did not crack at all. So now Vishwakarma, he is architect of the gods, and when Vishwakarma saw that nothing is happening to this egg, he cracked it forcefully. With a blow, he cracked open the egg, and Kashyapa thought Kashyapa and Aditi's son was the Surya, who was there inside the egg. Now Kashyapa initially was a bit afraid, because now if you're breaking the egg, maybe the child inside would die and so on, but then this was not the case. And in fact, the person there inside had not died, and thus the person who was born, the son who came to be born out of this anda, is called as Martanda. That's the reason how Lord Surya gets another name, Martanda. Martanda, that is from inside the anda also, even after hitting the anda, the egg, though it cracked, the person inside, that is Lord Surya, did not die. Next, as Martanda, Surya, he named Samknya, Vishwakarma's daughter. So Vishwakarma's daughter was Samknya. Surya Bhagwan had named her as Samknya. Now, after she got this name as Samknya, there are some references that Surya Bhagwan has also married Samknya. Now, some stories say that Surya, sun god, has two wives, Chaya and Suvarchala. But the Vayu Purana and some other references also, they highlight that Surya has got another wife called Samknya. Samknya is none but Vishwakarma's daughter, the architect of the gods. Now, with Samknya, Surya and Samknya, they have two sons and one daughter. Sons were Yama, that is a god of death, Dharma, and Vaivaswata. This was the one who became a Manu. That's how Vaivaswata Manvantare we say. So Vaivaswata and Yama, these were the two sons, and the daughter was Yami, or the famous river Yamuna. But it seems that now, as usual, we know the sun is very bright, very hot. So Samknya could not bear the radiance of her husband, and she thought of running away. So she created a shadow, an image of herself exactly like her, and she was called as Chaya. That's how we celebrate, and that's how Surya is known as having the wife called Chaya. So she created a Chaya image, shadow, and she said, I'm going. She does not reveal the truth. Now, this story already we have seen in one of the earlier lectures. So Samknya, she tells at this time, she tells Surya, I'm going to my father's house for a few days. And she tells Chaya also, her shadow also, the same thing, that I'm going to my father's house for a few days. You stay here, you pretend to be myself, you pretend to be Samknya, you take care of my children and so on, and nobody should know that you are actually my shadow. Everyone should think that you are the real Samknya. Chaya says, okay, I will do what you say, but there is a condition. Now what is that condition is Chaya tells, that is Samnya shadow tells that I will not tell the truth as long as I am not cursed, I am not troubled, or no one catches me by my hair. Now hair is said to be a very important part, especially for women. That's the reason we must never pull someone's hair. Even usually we don't do it, but maybe you see small children also sometimes they pull their hair. Small children especially, you see, they will be pulling their own hair at times. So when that is because they have not learned till then to beat or maybe shout and so on. They cannot express themselves, they don't know the concept of beating and so on. They see hair on their head and that's the reason they keep pulling that. You see children sometimes when they cry, they will, their own hair they will start pulling. You would have noticed this. That should never be done. But in fact some people, children also, when they fight again, they pull each other's hairs and all, right? That should not be done. It is a sign of violence that has been mentioned. So that's the reason Chaya also here makes a reference that if someone curses me, someone tells ill about me, and at the same time maybe if someone pulls me by my hair, then at that time I will have to tell the truth and I will have to go away from you. So Samya agreed to this, saying that no, nothing like this will happen, and she left for Vishwakarma's house. Initially Vishwakarma was very happy to see his daughter, but many days passed and Samya was not returning back to her husband's house. So now Vishwakarma thought that there is some problem, otherwise my daughter shall not do this. So he doesn't ask her the reason. He tells that, he somehow tells his daughter that you please return, you go back to your husband's house and so on. 1,000 years pass away like this. Finally, Samnya could not bear her father's continuous scolding, pestering, saying that you go back and so on. She pretends, she tells, okay, finally I'm going now. She left Vishwakarma's house, but then she got the form of a mare, that is a female horse, Mare, and she started to live in a region called Uttarakuru. Uttarakuru is the name of a place, and she started to live there. Meanwhile, Surya, Lord, that's the sun god, till now he doesn't know that this is not actually my real wife Samnya, but her Chaya. So both of them, they stay together very happily. They take care of their children, Yama, Yami, Vaivasvata and so on. The sons, and along with Chaya also, he gets 3 more children, again 2 sons and a daughter. Sons were Savarani, who again became a Manu, Savarani Kamanvantare, and Shani, that is a Platin Saturn, and the daughter was Tapti. So in all, Surya has got 6 children, 2 through Samnya, Yama, Vaivasvata and Yami, and through Chaya, Savarani, Shani, and the daughter was Tapti. Now Chaya, now obviously till date, now when she did not have children of her own, she used to take care of Samnya's children very well. But now that her own children were there, she started neglecting Samnya's children. So Vaivasvata, that is the son of Samnya, he did not mind this at all because he was the eldest and he had quite grown up, he was quite mature and so on. But then Yama, Dharma, he had a problem of this partiality. And it seemed that maybe in a childish way also, he, like, because he got irritated that his mother, he used to feel that Chaya is her own mother, his own mother, so therefore he got a bit irritated and he kicked her by mistake. So Chaya immediately, she gets very angry and she says that you have dared to kick your father's wife. Here also you note the statement here, this reference as it is comes in the Vayu Purana original text. You have dared to kick your father's wife is what. Now why father's wife, she tells, she does not reveal directly you have tried to kick your mother, because from her inner mind she knows I am not your real mother, so therefore she tells that you have dared to kick your father's wife. Therefore I curse you that your feet will start to decay and so on, because with this feet you have tried to kick me. Now Yama immediately went and he complained to his father Surya, and he tells that okay, by mistake I kicked my mother and so on, but then which mother curses her own son? So therefore now somehow you do something, I feel something is amiss, you have to free me from this curse and so on. Yama starts crying to his father Surya. Now Surya, he tried to reduce, now the curse is already given, so he had to bear, but then he also felt that something is wrong, because how much ever a child is evil or so, no mother will curse their own child, right? So therefore Surya also now starts thinking, he realizes that maybe something is wrong somewhere. So he immediately goes to Chaya and tells her that you tell me the truth, whatever it is, I feel that something is wrong also. If you have to tell me something, you please reveal the truth this minute. She tells no, nothing. But when Surya tells that I'll curse you if you don't tell me, as per her condition that she had told earlier, it seems that Surya threatens her and tries to hold her by her hair. At that time, the same conditions Chaya had told, whatever condition she had told Samnya, that if someone does like this to me, I am going to reveal the truth. She reveals the truth. Surya now immediately what he does is he goes to Vishwakarma's house to find out where Samnya is. Hearing what had happened, Vishwakarma, it seems that now Vishwakarma till now does not know what was the exact reason why his daughter Samnya had come. But now that he got to know everything, he gets very angry. And more than anger, he tries to find out the reason why his daughter had left her husband's house. That is because the sun is very hot and so on. So therefore, he tries to reduce the heat of the sun. And because he felt that because of the sun's radiance and brightness only my daughter has left him. So Surya also agreed. He tells Surya that I'll do this so that my own daughter will return back to you. You will also get back your wife. Surya also agrees, and it seems that his appearance was quite improved, but his heat, his brightness had been reduced. Now finally Surya finds out that Samnya, she was in the Uttarakudu kingdom. She was there in the form of a female horse, and he too adopted the form of a horse, and he joined his wife there. And as horses, both Surya and Samnya, they had two sons, Nasatya and Dasara. And since Ashwa, it means a horse, right? Horse is Ashwa in Sanskrit. They were nothing but the two Ashwins who were born. These two who were born, though they were called as Nasatya and Dasara, because they were born two horses, Surya and Samnya in a form of horses, they were called as Ashwins. These two, from the word Ashwa, these two became the famous physicians of the gods, two Ashwini Kumaras. And after the Ashwini Kumaras were born, Surya and Samnya, they came back to their original forms. Now, this is the story of Surya and Samnya, how the Ashwini Kumaras are born, and so on. Then later what happens is, Vaivaswata Manu, he is the eldest son of Surya and Samnya. Vaivaswata Manu, he performs a sacrifice that a son will be born to him. But instead of a son, a daughter named Ila is born. Then after that, 9 sons are born to Vaivaswata: Ikshvaku, Nahusha, Drishta, Shariyati, Narishyanta, Pramshu, Nabhaga, Karusha, Prishadhara. You can listen to the audio later and note down if you want. And that's how the Surya Vamsha. Now, all this I'm telling you about the solar line, right? So, how the lineage has started from the sun, it passes on through the eldest son, Vaivaswata Manu, S-U-N son, then his S-O-N son, Vaivaswata Manu, and further a daughter Ila, and then 9 more sons were born to him, Ikshvaku and so on. From Ikshvaku, the Raghukula or Surya Vamsha starts in the same line was born Lord Rama from the Ramayana reference. So this is the Surya Vamsha, which has been explained in detail in the Vayu Purana. So when someone says Surya Vamsha, now you must always know that though Surya Vamsha is very much related to Rama, we must not jump to the conclusion that it has started only from Rama or Rama's immediate ancestors. Now, why I am telling you this is, most of us know that Surya Vamsha has got to do something with the sun god. But then how, when someone asks, when we are talking about the Surya Vamsha, how the exact story goes about, now you know the entire lineage that is there. Son Vaivaswata Manu, his one daughter Ila, then 9 sons are born. Out of the 9 sons, eldest was Ikshvaku. From Ikshvaku starts the Raghuvamsha and so on. So Dilipa, Bhagirath, Aja, Dasharatha, Rama, Kusha and so on. So that's how the lineage goes about. There are many more kings, I just told you the important ones. So with this, the story of Surya Vamsha comes to an end. Next, a few stories from the lines of Surya Vamsha is mentioned. So next is a king was there in the same Surya Vamsha, same solar lineage. His name was Vrihadashva. He had 21,000 sons, it seems, and the eldest son was Kuvalashva. So Vrihadashva and his son was Kuvalashva. When Vrihadashva he died, he decided to go to his forest. Not die, because he had earned ripe age or so. At that time he decided to go to the forest with his wife, and he handed over the entire kingdom to Kuvalashva. But it seemed that when the coronation ceremony of his son was about to take place, at that time a sage arrived there called Utanka. A sage came, and Utanka, he told Vrihadashva, the aged king, that now you please don't go to the forest, because if you do so, then we will not be able to meditate in peace. That is because my hermitage is there on the shores of the ocean, and the seashore, it is attacked by a demon called Dundu, and he is very powerful that even gods also cannot defeat him. He hides under the sun, he meditates, and it seems that he exhales, inhalation, exhalation, that is, he gives out his breath once every year, it seems, and when he does, the entire earth shakes and everything turns to be evil, it seems. Terrible sandstorms come, storms come, heavy rains, everywhere there is only dust, sun cannot be seen. So, and for an entire week there will be earthquakes. So basically it's a very terrible condition. So why have come this Utanka, why he comes and tells all this to Vrishadashva is, now you don't retire to the forest and take up sannyas ashrama, you have to kill and defeat this demon. Without doing something to him, you cannot retire to the forest. So Vrihadashva says that, oh great sage, I have given up all my weapons now, and now it is wrong if I take them back again. So I will tell my Kuvalashva to surely kill the demon. I am sure that he will take care and he will do his duties. Now Kuvalashva and his 21,000 brothers. Now the aged king had 21,000 sons. So in all, Kuvalashva and all his brothers, they accompanied the sage Utanka. They waited near the ocean for the demon to come. And as usual, the storm came, sandstorm came, there was dust everywhere and so on. Fire came. And at that time, the Rakshasa also had his own army. So his soldiers, they attacked this Kuvalashva's soldiers. And now all the brothers except 3 of them were killed. So out of 21,000, except 3, everyone was killed. But Dhundu, this demon, had still not fought with Kuvalashva. And all the storm, fire, waves, they could do no harm to Kuvalashva. And ultimately, because he was a very great king, ultimately he killed the demon and thus he acquired the name of Dundumara. So Dundumara is another person who comes in the lineage of Suryavamsha, and the sage Utanka blessed him. Next, the famous story of Trishanku, who same comes in the Suryavamsha. There was a king called Trayaruna, and his son was Satyavrata. Satyavrata was very strong, and but what he did was, though he was very strong, he had a lot of riches, but then he had committed a lot of sins, and therefore his father Trayaruna, he decided to banish him from the kingdom. Now Trayaruna's chief priest was Vasishta. And the sage also, he also supported the king's decision that if this person is causing harm to the entire kingdom, then surely he should be banished from the kingdom. So Trayaruna also tells his son that you go away. I do not wish to have a son like you who is causing trouble. So Satyavrata, he asked, what will I do? Where will I live? Where should I go? And so on. So his father says, you go and live with the Chandalas. Chandalas is, this is a tribal people mainly. So you go and live with them. Satyavrata went, he started living with them. And in due course, Trayaruna, the elderly king, he also retired to the forest. And now there was no king. The younger king, Satyavrata, has been banished. And the elder king, he had also retired to the forest. So now, 12 long years, it seemed that, now in those times it used to happen that if there is no proper administration that is there, just as even now, if you don't have a proper person who is leading or so, then it leads to problems, right? Say for example now, if someone unmutes also, I will immediately tell, please mute yourself back. But say for example, I just ignore all of you, someone is speaking or maybe someone is on your video, you're doing something else, and I myself, maybe I'm very busy, I'm telling you something from my books, from my notes. Doesn't make sense, right? Whereas I'm not telling as a leading position, but then we need someone who has some control that is there. It can be even one of you. So that is some control. Even in our everyday activities, one person tells, okay, all of you mute yourself, or all of you maybe off your videos or whatever it is. Don't do anything else when you're listening to the Puranas. So 1 hour you are fully focused and so on. That's the reason when I ask you some questions, most of you unmute and answer. That's because you're listening to me, right? So that is the amount of respect that we give to the class or whatever we do. That is commitment. So the same thing in those times also was very much needed. And when now all these stories comes in the Treta Yuga. So therefore, likewise in the kingdom also, when there was no king or no leader, no power to have set a control on people, things used to be like haywire. 12 long years it did not rain, it seems. There was terrible drought-like conditions, famine and so on. At that time, sage Vishwamitra, he had gone near the ocean to meditate, and in the course of time, it so happened that the sage's wife, Vishwamitra, had a wife, and she found it difficult to make both ends meet. Now let me tell you, this story that is there has got different versions. In the Ramayana also, this has the same story comes of Vishwamitra, wherein you have the mention of Harishchandra, King Harishchandra. Then you have it even in the even in few Puranas that are there, even in few folklores. The story remains the same. The characters' names or little context goes up and down, but the moral remains the same. So Vishwamitra, he had gone to do tapasya. At that time, the sage's wife, she finds it very difficult to make both ends meet, to earn a livelihood and so on. There was no food, and at that time she had no option. She sells one of her sons in exchange for 100 cattle. So one son is sold out, and with this wealth, all her remaining sons and everyone, she started feeding herself and all her remaining sons. Now the person to whom the son was sold, it seems that he tied a rope around the son's neck, that is gala, and he dragged him from the main road and so on. Thus the son came to be known as Galava or Galava. Now Satyavrata saw all this that was happening, and he rescued this son. And he ensured that Vishwamitra's wife and sons, they should not suffer at all in the sage's absence. And the entire family was looked after by Satyavrata. Satyavrata killed deer, all the wild animals in the forest. He brought meat to this Galava's family, and it seems that at that time, initially he was very evil, he was banished from the kingdom, but later he realizes his mistake, and his father also, Trayaruna, he had also retired to the forest. So Satyavrata, when his father had retired to the forest, he started serving his father also, because later he realizes his mistake. Now one fine day what happened is, there was Vasishta. With this reference ends. One fine day what happened was, sage Vasishta had a cow, and Satyavrata, what he did was, he stole Vasishta's cow and he cut it, and he ate the meat himself, and he also fed little of it to Vishwamitra's family. Now, Vasishta got very angry to hear this, and he cursed Satyavrata that you have committed 3 sins. 3 sins is nothing but Shankhu. 3 Shankhu. That's how Trishankhu is born. You have stolen something which belonged to others. This is your first sin. You have caused unhappiness to your father by being a very evil son. Second sin. And you have stolen and killed my cow. Gohatya. That is your third sin. So therefore, because you have committed 3 sins, I curse you that henceforth you will be called as Trishankhu. Now after 12 years of drought and everything was over, Vishwamitra, he returns back, and he was very happy to learn that Trishankhu had taken care of his family and so on. Now despite Vasishta's, and he also came to know what Trishankhu had done with Vasishta and his cow. So Vishwamitra, he wanted to make Trishankhu the next king of Ayodhya, that is the next king of the Surya Vamsha. Vasishta was the chief priest of Surya Vamsha. He did not like this at all, and he opposed this idea of Vishwamitra. But then Vishwamitra, he had great powers, and he used his powers to send Trishankhu to heaven in his mortal body. That is, without dying, Trishankhu had a wish to go to heaven, and Vishwamitra says that I will fulfill this wish. And ultimately he does this, and it seems that he reached heaven. This is what is mentioned in the Vayu Purana. But then this is explained. Now those who want to read about this in detail, you can refer to one of the minor Puranas, Harivamsha Puranam, and which is also, some people say that it is a part of Mahabharata, Harivamsha, written by Vyasa. The Ramayana gives a bit of twist to this. It says that the gods refused to accept Trishankhu in heaven, and at that time Vishwamitra creates a second heaven, or like a duplicate heaven for Trishankhu. So this is a reference in the Ramayana. Vayu Purana says that Vishwamitra sends Trishankhu to heaven, and he goes to heaven, the same heaven where gods also live. Next, so this is the story of Trishankhu. From Trishankhu, a king named Vahu was born. Now Vahu, it seems that he was so much attached to all material desires and so on that anyone has a doubt?
Lakshmi, it was also mentioned in the Brahma Puranas.
Sorry?
This story about Trishankhu, you had told us in Brahma Purana.
Brahma Purana also, correct, yes. So like this story basically comes in very, you can say in many Puranas, because it is quite common, because the lineage of Surya Vamsha and Soma Vamsha is there in many Puranas, so therefore that's the reason why it comes in most of the Puranas. Okay. So now next, from Trishankhu, the next king who descends is called Vahu. Vahu, he was very much busy. He was attracted to material desires, his own wishes and so on, that he did not pay attention to his kingdom at all. And Vahu's enemies, they saw that the king is not attentive. They seize the opportunity, they defeat him, and they remove him from his kingdom. Vahu and his wife, they ran away to the forest. And there, the enemies were present, that is a Haihayas. Haihayas are you can say a class of people who are there. And like this, you had a lot of groups of people there, like the Shakhas, Yavanas, Paradas, Kambojas, Pahallavas and so on. So now like this, there were many groups of people living in the forest. Now Vahu was very old when all this happened, and he was also at grief because he had lost his kingdom. He lived in the forest, and ultimately he died also. Now King Vahu had 2 wives. One of them was Yadavi, and the second, the story also we have already seen before, if you remember. One of them was Yadavi, and the second wife, she was very much jealous of Yadavi, and she tried to attempt to kill Yadavi. But the poison, however, did not do any harm to the first wife Yadavi. And when Vahu died, it seemed that Yadavi, she tried to jump on her husband's pyre, but then the sage Aurva, he intervened because the pregnant child, she was expecting a child and the child was there inside the womb, inside the mother's womb. So if you remember, I told you the killing a child, or maybe people who do this abortion and so on, though now some places it is accepted, still why it's a crime to kill a child? It's almost like killing, though just as you kill normal people around, a child that is there inside your stomach, if you kill, it is very much wrong. So therefore Aurva tells that act of killing an unborn child is a crime, so therefore you don't do this, you should not jump, you will live, you let him also live, and he will rule well, he will defeat his father's enemies and so on. So as told by sage Aurva, Yadavi, the king of Vahu, she did not kill herself, and she began to live in the sage's hermitage. And in the course of time, she gave birth to a handsome child. And when the child was born, it seems that Gara, that is the poison which she had consumed, that also came out. And since the word, since Gara came out poison, and Sa along with the boy, so Sa means together. So that's how the child gets the name Sagara, meaning poison, one who came along together with the poison, that is Sagara. Now Aurva, he took a lot of interest in Sagara's education, upbringing and so on. He taught the boy the Vedas, art of fighting, archery, and he also blessed him with a divine weapon called the Agnyastra. And Sagara, he learned how to use this weapon from the sage Aurva. Then when Sagara grew up, he decided to fight his father's enemies, and with the knowledge that he had gained of using this weapon, he defeated all the Hayhaya, Shakas, Yavanas, Kambojas, Paradas, Pallavas. So all the not tribal, maybe the communities of people who are the enemies of his father Vahu, he defeated all of them. And when he threatened to kill all of them, they all went and took the help of Vasishta. The sage Vasishta asked Sagara to spare all of them, but they should be given some sort of punishment so that they don't attack anymore. And Sagara then decides that some of them will have half their heads shaved off, then some will have them completely shaved off, and some should have very long hair, and some were forbidden to shave their beards and so on. So basically, why such punishments were given? Just as in the Mahabharata reference also, if you see Jayadratha was also given such a punishment that his hair was cut in a very weird way and so on. So basically, why such punishments are given, that in front of the society or made shameful, so it is not death but a punishment which is as equal to death. So you can say almost a grave insult that is there. So through all this, like maybe a head half shaved or completely shaven, or having very long hair, long beard and so on, not a very pleasant personality. So thus Sagara, he conquered all his enemies, he became the ruler of the entire world, and he decided to perform a Ashwamedha sacrifice. Sagara had two wives, Keshini, Sumati. Sagara, he did not have any sons, and his wives, they prayed to sage Aurva that you please bless us, and Aurva at that time granted them boons that you will be blessed with children. So but then one wife will give birth to a single son, so that but that single son will ensure that Surya Vamsha proceeds further. The other wife will have 60,000 children, but all of them would die before having any children of their own. So basically Surya Vamsha will come to an end there. So Aurva gave them these two options, that out of both of you, this is what is option. One will have only one son and the other will have 60,000 sons. So now both of you decide amongst yourself who will have what. Keshini, she decides to have one single son, and she accordingly she gave birth to Asamanjas. Sumati, it seems that she gave birth to a god. God is like a snake god or so. So basically like a vegetable. And that god, it was kept in ghee, that is clarified butter, it was kept. And after 9 months had passed, it seems that 60,000 sons come out of that. This is somewhat equal to the story that I told you about Vyasa, how he was born. How the 100 Kauravas were born. So similarly, the story of 60,000 sons also is little different. So then now the names that are there now here we have the reference in the Vayu Purana that Keshini gives birth to Asamanjas and Sumati gives birth to 60,000 sons. In the Mahabharata reference, it is other way around. Sumati gives birth to Asamanjas and Keshini has given birth to 60,000 sons. So there can be a difference. Sagara's sons, they prospered, they attained education, they all started growing. And ultimately, when the Ashwamedha sacrifice was being performed, horses left here and there to move about, and Sagara tells his sons to look after the horse, to follow wherever the horse is going, and so on. Now, all these sons, what they do, they go to Patada, they insult the sage Kapila, and that's how they are all burnt into ashes. This story ends here in Vayu Purana. That's it. That is all the sons of Sagara, they are burnt into ashes. Vayu Purana does not delve deeper because the story is found in the Ramayana, Mahabharata, all other Puranas like the Matsya Purana and so on. So therefore it does not go much in detail. Vayu Purana ends that Sagara's son were reduced to ashes by sage Kapila. With this, Surya Vamsha comes to an end. Next you have the Soma Vamsha. Okay, till here is everyone following? Yes? Okay. Next you have Soma Vansha. Now Chandra or Soma, the moon god, he is the son of sage Atri. Atri is a very powerful sage and he was always busy in doing tapasya, meditation and so on. For 3000 years continuously he performed tapasya with his arms, with his hands kept up in the air. And he was like almost immobile. He did not move at all, like a tree trunk or so. And because of this wonderful tapasya that he was doing, a lot of energy, positive energy, started coming out of his body. And the goddesses who are there in all the Dasha Disha, every one of them is presided over by a goddess. And out of that energy that was coming out through the sage's body and through the energy of the goddesses ruling over all the 10 directions, you have Chandra who was born. So in this sense, Chandra is considered to be the son of sage Atri. Now Brahma, he gave Chandra a divine chariot so that you can ride on that, and this chariot is drawn by about 1000 white horses. Chandra, he ascended the chariot, and it seems that 21 times the moon god, he goes around the earth. And while doing so, some energy from his body, it fell down to the earth, and this is the origin of herbs that we have, Ayurveda Shastra. And Brahma, that's how he appointed Chandra to rule over herbs, seeds, Brahmanas and water. Chandra, he performed a Rajasuya Yajna like Yudhishthira, a royal sacrifice, and it seems that this sacrifice became very powerful, and like Chandra became very proud. Like as usual for us also, if we attain a lot of success, automatically pride comes in, right? So the same thing happened with Chandra. And what next happened was, now the god of the Gurus is Brihaspati and his wife was Tara. Now Chandra had already married the 27 daughters of Daksha, but still he abducted Tara. So basically he had lost his mind. In pride also, he did not know what he was doing. So he abducted Brihaspati's wife, Tara. And gods and sages, they saw what was happening. They tell Chandra that you please return back Tara, but he did not listen. And that's when a terrible fight started between the gods and demons. And the gods were fighting on Brihaspati's side and the demons were actually helping Chandra. Now after Tara's finally what happened, that everyone came to an end, and after everyone came to know that Tara was being abducted and so on, finally Brahma comes in between and he tries to sort the matter. Now the war was going on, and Chandra finally, listening to Brahma, he returns back Tara to Brihaspati. But eventually in the course of time, what happens that Chandra and Tara, they have a son called Buddha. Now all of you might remember Ila. Who is Ila? Just now I told you some time back. Let me check your memory. Ila.
Ikshvaku's
correct. Ikshvaku's sister. That is first daughter. So Vaivasvata's first daughter is Ila, and then he had 9 sons, Ikshvaku. So this Ila, she was married to Buddha. So now you know the connection between Surya Vamsha and Soma Vamsha. Now this Buddha, that is Chandra and Tara's son Buddha, he was married to Ila, and their son was Pururava. Pururava was the first person, you can say like the originator of the Soma Vamsha, lunar line. Pururava and Urvashi, Apsara, now Pururava was a very good king. He had many yajna, he had performed many yajnas, he ruled the earth very well. And Urvashi, she was a beautiful Apsara, and Pururava, he meets Urvashi and he falls in love and he requests her that you please marry me. Urvashi says, I will, but there is a condition. And I have 2 sheep with me, sheep, SHEEP, the animal sheep, goat sheep, and they will always stay by my bed. And in case, under any circumstances, if I lose them, that minute I will leave you, I will no longer be your wife and I'll go back to heaven. Moreover, this is my first condition. Second condition is I will always live on ghee, that is clarified butter. I always want that. So basically a very rich lady. She was an Apsara. Pururava, now these two conditions is quite strange, right? But still Pururava agreed because he was madly in love with her and both of them were married. They lived happily together for about 64 years with numerical values. It is mentioned in the Vayu Purana. For 64 years, both of them they lived together, Pururava and Urvashi. But now the Gandharvas in heaven, they were feeling that without Urvashi's absence, they were feeling bad. So somehow they made a plan to bring back Urvashi. So they saw the right opportunity, and the Gandharva named Vishwavasu, he comes and he steals the two sheep of Urvashi. As soon as this happened, Urvashi vanished and she returns back to heaven as per her condition. Now Pururava, somehow he catches Vishwavasu and he gets back the sheep. But by this time Urvashi had already gone to heaven. Now the miserable king, he felt very bad because he was madly in love with her, so losing her was not easy for him. So he searched throughout the world for her, but he could not get. Finally he meets Urvashi near a pond in Kurukshetra. And Pururava at that time, he goes and tells her that you are my wife, why have you lost me, and so on. Like, why have you left me? So Urvashi says that I am not your wife, I was your wife, and I no longer am, because as per the condition given to you, that was broken. So therefore now I cannot stay, but still I agreed that I want to spend one day with you. So one more day I will stay with you. And it seemed that when 1 year after saying this, Urvashi and all of them vanish, and 1 year passes that day. One fine day, Urvashi, she comes to Pururava and she presents him to the son which she had born, and she spent a day with him and she vanished again. Now this happened many times, it seems, and one day only Urvashi used to stay with Pururava, rest they used to vanish. Then she used to vanish. And in this time, whatever period she came here, it seems that 6 sons were born to them: Ayu, Amavasu, Vishwayu, Shatayu, Gatayu and Dridayu. In some Puranas, there is a reference to the 7th son being born, Valayu. So like this, the names of 7 people has been born. So this is, you can say, how Pururava's lineage, it went further. Now in the lunar line, further you have the reference of few more kings, that is Nahusha, a famous king called Nahusha. He had 6 sons and the youngest son was Yayati. And after Nahusha, obviously Yayati became the king. Now it is quite strange that how come the youngest son, now 6 sons were there, youngest son was Yayati. So how come Yayati became the king? This is quite strange. But then in the Vayu Purana you have reference that the youngest son only has become the king. Whereas the Mahabharata and the Padma Purana, they all say that Yayati is the eldest son and that's how rightly he deserves to be the king. Now Yayati had 2 wives, and Yayati had first married Devayani. Now who was Devayani? Devayani is Shukracharya's daughter. And Vrishaparva was the king of Danavas and he had a daughter called Sharmishta. So Yayati had married also Sharmishta. So basically Yayati married Devayani, who was Shukracharya's daughter, the preceptor of the demons, and his second wife was Sharmishta, who was the daughter of the king of Danavas, demons, Vrishaparva. So basically he had married from, you can say, not intercaste, is basically out of caste, something which is beyond imagination. You go and marry someone from the demon family. So this thing Yayati had done. And through Devayani he gave birth to Yadu and Turuvasu, and through Sharmishta he gave birth to Druha, Anu and Puru. So this is how the lineage increases. But Yayati, it seemed that he loved Sharmishta more, and therefore Shukracharya got to know this, that his daughter was being neglected. So he cursed Yayati that you will suffer from, you can say, untimely set of old age. So though you are young now, old age will come on you, and as usual when old age comes, the problems also have to follow. And when this happened, now Yayati obviously became very miserable, and he had still not enjoyed all the pleasures of life, and at the wrong time old age was come, so therefore he was not able to do anything. So at that time he tells his son Yadu, that is his Devayani's son, that you please take my old age away and you give me your youth in return. And when I have enjoyed all the pleasures, when I have enjoyed experiencing all the pleasures and joys of this world, I will return back your youth to you. So Yadu, he says, all this I will not do, because you have got old age because of your own sins that you did. So why on earth, why should I accept it? Instead you ask my brothers. Now Yayati was also very smart, because he was very much dear to his second wife Sharmishta. He did not ask her children. But for in Devayani's case, because he was neglecting her, He was not paying much attention. Very smartly, he asks Yadu, who is the son of Devayani. So when Yadu refused, Yayati got very angry and he curses Yadu that Yadu or his descendants, they will never become kings. Next, Yayati asks his next son Turu, and he also refused. He also got a similar curse. Next, on Druhya and Anu, that is the uh, two sons of Sharmishta, also he asks. They also refuse, and the same curse was thus put on them also. Now, the only son who readily accepted Yayati's request was Puru, and Yayati blessed Puru, and he took his youth from him. Now, after getting the youth from his son Puru, young life, Yayati enjoyed all the pleasures of this world. He performed a lot of yajnas and so on. Like this, 1,000 years passed about, and Yayati finally got tired of pursuing all material things, and he returned back Puru's youth, and he got back his old age. Yayati returned to the forest after making Puru the next king. Now, for Yadu, what happened further is a few minor kingdoms to the west was given to him, and similarly, Turvasu was given some kingdoms towards the southeast. Druhya was given some kingdoms towards the west, and Anu also. Anu and Druhya were given some kingdoms like towards the west also, west of Bharatadesha. Now, the descendants of Yadu were known as the Yadavas. In this line, you also have Lord Krishna, who is born. You also have Arjuna, who is born in this line. Now, in this line, this Arjuna is not the Arjuna of the Mahabharata. It is Kartyavira Arjuna. Okay, so now you see that this is the main reason why none of the Yadava kings, Yadava people, they don't become kings at all. That is, they don't get their original kingdom that is there. They had to go somewhere. Just as Krishna also, you see, he had to go to Dwaraka, and that to Dwaraka also ultimately sank underwater. So that is because of the curse that was given to them, that none of Yadu's lineage, descendants, will ever become a king. So now you might have a doubt why I am highlighting this is why the Lord himself was born in this lineage when he knew that he was not going to get anything. He was born as a Yadava, no doubt, but then still, when he knew that he is not going to get kingdom, he is not going to enjoy the pleasures, why was he born so? So this tries to highlight that everyone will not get everything, but that doesn't mean that we will not be born, or you can escape from something, you can escape from your own karma and so on. So again, why this point is being highlighted is a life lesson for all of us. Everyone has their own set of problems, but we cannot always sit and complain. No, my family is like this, or people in my house do like this, or I'm not exposed to so and so, I don't have the habit of this. Many times we say, right? So if you want to make your life good, we have to only put in effort. So that's what is highlighted here. So therefore, the Lord himself, though he took an avatara, it's not that in very good conditions he takes an avatara. If everything is good, then there's no need for the God to come down, right? So even he also experiences all this. Today also in the morning, as I was telling you, when he explains to Karna also, Karna complains, I'm doing everything good in life, I've done everything, but my mother, what kind of injustice is being done by my mother Kunti? She comes at the last minute and tells, that too, when she wants to save the life of her son, the Panchapandavas. At that time, she comes and tells, you don't kill my sons, you're the eldest Pandava, and so on. And now you say that I've done a lot of, I should not have supported Duryodhana when he was the only one who supported me, who gave me a place in the kingdom when the entire world was teasing me through the name of Sutaputra. So what wrong have I done? What is wrong on my part? Why am I suffering this? Krishna explains in only one line, saying that whatever worries are there, your life is full of worries, I have my own set of problems. But then that doesn't mean that you go on the wrong path and you support wrong people. Okay, Duryodhana had always supported you when the entire world criticized you. You should have respect for him, no doubt. But still, in spite of knowing that what Duryodhana and the Kauravas were doing is extremely wrong, still you ended up supporting them. So maybe from your part, even though you were not wrong, even supporting wrong people and helping them, that is also equal to a sin, in fact more. Doing things unknowingly is one part, and even after knowing that what you're doing is wrong, just because he supported me doesn't mean that you go and support evil people, right? So in fact, you should have guided him on the right path, and so on. Krishna explains him. So the same thing happens here too. Krishna tries to highlight that Yadu's lineage, they had got a curse that none of them would become as kings. They did not get their rightful kingdoms, but still the Lord was born to show the right way to the world. Ah yes, Sanjay ji, say something.
Yes, ma'am. Because he took Puranas one thing in this world, even though he knew his destiny, only to protect dharma and disturb adharma.
Correct, right. Okay. Yes. Just as he says in the Gita also. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे. Every yuga I come back.
Yes, yes.
Next you have the story of Kartyavira Arjuna. Now Kartyavira Arjuna, some people they do worship. Anyone? You have ever worshipped Kartyavira Arjuna? Or you know about him?
One line that we know about that Tumanto Shri Kartik.
Correct.
When we
Yes.
are searching for things.
Searching for things, you have the story of Kartyavira. Correct. So there was a king called Kartyavira and his son was called Kartyavira Arjuna. Sorry, there was a king called Kritavirya and his son was called Kartyavira Arjuna. He performed tapasya for thousands and thousands of years and he finally pleased the sage Dattatreya and he got 4 boons. Now what was that? First boon was he got 1,000 arms, ARMS. Second boon was he had the power to bring back evil people on the right path. Third boon was he could establish his control over the entire earth and rule it according to dharma, that is according to righteousness. And the fourth and the final boon that he got was he will meet his end with a person who was an individual will kill him and that individual is should be very much superior to him. So these were the 4 boons. I repeat, first is he gets 1,000 hands, second is he has a power to bring evil people on the right track, third boon was he can rule the earth in a very righteous way, and the fourth boon was he will die by a person who is very much superior and powerful than him. Now having got all these boons, this Kartyavira Arjuna, he conquered the whole earth, he ruled it well, he performed about 10,000 wonderful yajnas. The gods, sages, Gandharvas, Apsaras, all of them used to attend all these ceremonies. And he ruled for about 87,000 years. This is a mention in the Vayu Purana. And one of Kartyavira Arjuna, it seems that at one time he had even captured Ravana, the king of Lanka. So this is his wonderful deed. Now once it so happened that Surya, the sun god, he came to visit this Arjuna in the disguise of a Brahmana. And then the sun god said that I'm hungry, you give me something to eat. If you give me, I'll reward you well. And now here there is again a controversy. Now some people say that Surya, he comes in the original form of the sun god. And then he asks Arjuna and then further Kartyavira Arjuna gives him and so on. But then there is another reference to this. Some people say that he came in the disguise of a Brahmana because even if Kartyavira Arjuna wanted to refuse when someone comes in the form of a Brahmana, we will not request. Brahmana's request will never be declined. So therefore Surya came in the form of a Brahmana. Whatever it is, the sun god came. Now Arjuna next asks that, okay, you're hungry, so what sort of food you want? I'll give you that. So what should I bring? Sun god very nicely said that whatever material objects are there in this world, I want to eat all of that. So you please burn all of them so that I will eat my fill. Now Arjuna says, how do you expect me to do all this? I'm only a human being, I've got very limited powers. And at that time Surya Bhagavan, he gave Arjuna many divine arrows, a very nice quiver and so on. It seems that these arrows, they had the power to burst into flames as soon as they were shot. And Arjuna, it seemed that he burned everything and Surya ate his fill. So Surya filled his stomach, villages, cities, land, everything was burnt by Kartyavira Arjuna. At this time Varuna, water god, he was a god of oceans and he had a son called Ashwina. Now this son Ashwina, son of Varuna, he performed a lot of tapasya and he became sage Vasishta. Now this Vasishta or Apava is another name. This Vasishta is not the same as Vasishta of the Surya Vamsha. Now this sage Vasishta, he performed tapasya underwater, it seems, for about 10,000 years. And when he finished all his tapasya, he found that the entire place has been burnt by this person called Arjuna. Now this sage Vasishta got very angry and he went and tells Arjuna that I'm going to curse you because you have not spared even my husband. Okay. So just wait for a minute. Is there today match? There. Okay, can everyone hear me? Or you have a lot of noise?
No, we can hear.
Here, right?
We can hear you.
So basically, I think they are bringing Ganesha idols. So Mumbai, everywhere you see Ganesha idols are being bought. So that's the reason. It's done. Good. Okay. So where was I? Vasishta. So Vasishta, they say. Now please don't get confused. It's this Vasishta is different. This Arjuna is different. Arjuna is Kartavira Arjuna, not the Arjuna from the Mahabharata reference. This Vasishta is the son of Varuna. His name was Vasishta or Apava. He is not one among the Saptarishis. Vasishta or the Vasishta, the Kulaguru of Rama. So all this is different. So though the names of characters are same, we don't get confused. So now this says Vasishta, he gets very angry. He tells Kartavira Arjuna, you have burnt my hermitage also, I'm going to curse you. And he tells that anyone who has your name, that is Arjuna, if anyone is named with Arjuna, that person will never ever become a king. And he says that there will be a Pandava, that is the son of Kunti, who will be called Arjuna, but he will not be a king simply because he bears your name. That's the reason why we see only Yudhishthira becomes a king. The kingdom never reaches till Arjuna. And I also curse you that you will be killed by the sage Parshurama. And Arjuna eventually, later he is also killed by Parshurama. And there are different stories how and why he was killed by Arjuna, how and why he was killed by Parshurama, because Kartavira Arjuna is a Kshatriya and so on. Now it so happened that, so like this is how the story of Kartavira Arjuna has been told. Now further, the gods and demons, they had the war with each other, and about 12 wars took place. Now gods and demons, it's just like you consider India, Pakistan, right? So continuously some or the other reason will crop up why both the countries, or maybe both these parties, they had wars among them. So even it was the same with gods and demons. So they fought about 12 terrible wars, and once it so happened that the demons were defeated by the gods, and they were very much disheartened. They go and see the preceptor Shukracharya. Now Shukracharya is the son of the sage Bhrigu. Now all the demons, they tell Shukracharya that we have been defeated by the gods and now we have no option, we have to go and reside in hell. So at that time Shukracharya says that I will protect you, don't worry. And he tells her, I know Brihaspati, the preceptor of the gods. So that is his main competitor. Shukracharya, preceptor of demons, Brihaspati, preceptor of gods. So he says that Brihaspati has got a lot of powers by praying to Agni, the god of fire. And the gods mainly, they live on those powers only. So now what I am going to do is I am going to pray to Lord Shiva. I am going to get a lot of powers. So and then I will give all that to you. So all of you be patient till then, till I acquire all the powers from Lord Shiva and come back. So until I come, why don't you give up your arms and so on? You live as hermits, you live as sadhus. And all the demons agree to this. And they inform the gods that they have given up their arms, and whatever, they tell the gods, whatever you will, whatever you want, you keep doing. We have become hermits, we will not fight and so on. Meanwhile, Shukracharya, he starts praying to Lord Shiva. Shiva appears before Shukracharya, and whatever the sage asked, Shiva prepares to grant all these powers. But he puts a condition. Shukracharya, he tells that you have to meditate for about 1,000 years, and throughout this period you should not speak to anyone, and you will have to live on smoke. Smoke is nothing but just dust. That is, you should not consume anything. Shukracharya agrees. He starts this process, and the gods, they got to know what was happening, and they felt that this is the right time when we should attack the demons. So basically they understand that this is the plot of the demons and their preceptor Shukracharya, so they decide to attack the demons. And at that time the demons are shocked. They say, what you are doing, we have given up our arms, so this is not the time to fight. The gods don't listen, and the demons, they go to Bhrigu's wife and ask her to protect them. Bhrigu's wife, that is their guru's mother, Shukracharya's mother. So, Bhrigu's son is Shukracharya. So they all these demons, they go to Bhrigu's wife and they ask her to protect. And through her divine powers, it seems that woman, she paralyzed Indra. It seems that he could not move even an inch. At that time, when all the other gods saw that their leader Indra could not move, they also started running here and there. At that time, Vishnu comes and he asks, why are you running here and there? All the gods tell that this is what is happening, and at that time Vishnu tells Indra that you enter my body, I will take you away from this place. Indra enters Vishnu's body and Vishnu proceeds to take him away. This angered Bhrigu's wife very much, and she threatened to burn up both Indra and Vishnu, because she had given protection to the demons and Vishnu had come out of picture, and whatever, she had paralyzed Indra, so it was a big failure. So before all this could happen, it seemed that when she was about to burn both Indra and Vishnu, Vishnu takes out his Sudarshana Chakra and slices the lady's head. Bhrigu saw this, he could not bear this, and he tells, killing a woman is a sin, you have committed a crime, and for this crime I curse you that you will be born on the earth several times, and I will get back my wife through my divine powers and so on. That's the reason why the Lord is born many times. He takes up avatars. This is one reference. There are many other reasons like परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. That is to re-establish dharma. That is one thing, but this is another reason. Now this act that Bhrigu had done, this terrified Indra a lot, and he got very much worried that now Shukracharya will return with all the powers. There will be no way of controlling the demons. At that time, what happened is that Indra had a daughter called Jayanti. He calls her and tells that you go and you try to distract this sage Shukracharya who is meditating, and make sure that his meditation is not successful. Jayanti does as her father told, and she started distracting her. And in due course, what happened was Shukracharya's meditation was totally successful, and he gets the desired boon also from Shiva. And after everything was being done, Shukracharya then sees Jayanti. He asks her, who are you, what are you doing here, and so on. Why have you been serving me or being there around me? And whatever you have done, I am happy with you. Now you tell me what you desire. Jayanti tells that, you be my husband for 10 years. Shukracharya agrees. Both of them have a daughter and name her as Devayani. Meanwhile, so Devayani is the same Devayani of Yadu. Yadu's mother Devayani. Meanwhile, Brihaspati, Yayati's wife Devayani. Meanwhile, what happens is Brihaspati, he adopts Shukracharya's form, it seems. The preceptor of the gods adopts the form of the preceptor of demons, and he starts to live with demons. Demons were very happy. They felt that our guru has come back, and they did not realize that it was actually Brihaspati. And after 10 years, the original Shukracharya returns, and he finds that all these demons are following the teachings of Brihaspati. He asks them, he tells, who are you? I am the real Shukracharya. And at that time, Brihaspati is not at all, I am the real. So both of them, they keep fighting. Demons did not know what to do because both of them looked exactly same and their teachings, everything was same. So now the way of telling things, eventually they said that they concluded that the person with whom we are living for the last 10 years, that is original Brihaspati, he should only be our guru. And this choice, it seems that it angered the original Shukracharya very much, and he went away. And later the demons, they realize their mistake, they go and they try to pacify Shukracharya, but they had already committed a mistake, and it seems that all their powers, they could not get the powers that Shukracharya had gained. Okay, so with this, let us stop here. Next you have the last part of Vayu Purana, talks about Vishnu's different incarnations. So tomorrow we will complete that, and the next Purana that we start is Garuda Purana. So we'll stop here for today. शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So we were looking at Vayu Purana. Yesterday we saw that Bhrigu gives a curse to Vishnu, saying that you will be reborn on the earth many times, and that's how Vishnu is born on the earth several times. There is another reason that is as mentioned in the Gita, to establish righteousness, to establish dharma again, to remove adharma. So this is another reason, but one of the reasons was due to Bhrigu's curse. Vishnu was born several times on the earth. He took many avatars, starting from Matsya Avatara. Now Vayu Purana talks about 10 avatars that are there. So it is little different from the avatara as which are the 10 which are very popular. So that is the reason why it is sometimes we don't accept the authority of this, but still you must know that in the Vayu Purana the mention of these 10 avatars is there. Now what is that? Matsya Avatara, then Narasimha, then Vamana, Dattatreya, sage Dattatreya, Bhavya is another form of Lord Vishnu, Parshurama, Rama, Vedavyasa, Krishna and Kalki. So this is the mention of 10 avatars as per the Vayu Purana. Then, but this is like, this list you see, it is quite unique. It can vary with the common list that is there. Common is Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parshurama, Rama, Krishna, Buddha and Kalki. So this is the common list of Puranas. But then in the Vayu Purana, there is another reference also. So basically, it tries to include even the minor avatars that are there. So with this, Vayu Purana gets to a conclusion, and the conclusion is finally Lo Maharshana, the sage, he finishes his recital of the Vayu Purana. He tells the assembled sages that all of you are indeed lucky that you have heard this Purana, which is considered to be the most sacred, and because of this you are going to attain heaven, Swargaloka. And a person who listens to the recital, he will, that is the chanting part, he will be awarded with health, wealth, long life, and so on. All the sins will be forgiven. And this, the knowledge of this Purana has been passed on from one generation to the next. It passed on from Vayu to Ushana, or Ushana we call. Then from Ushana to Brihaspati, from Brihaspati to Savita, that is the sun god. Savita to Mrityu, Mrityu to Indra, Indra to Vasishta, Vasishta to Saraswata, Saraswata to Tridhama. These are all different kings, different sages. Then from Tridhama to Dhananjaya, Dhananjaya to Kritanjaya, Kritanjaya to Trinanjaya, Trinanjaya to Bharadwaja, Bharadwaja to Gautama, Gautama to Niryantara, from Niryantara to Vajrashrava, Vajrashrava to Somasushma, Somasushma to Trinavindu, Trinavindu to Daksha, Daksha to Shaktri, Shaktri to Parashara, Parashara to Jatakarna, from Jatakarna Vedavyasa, from Vedavyasa it has come out to me, and today I have told you the Purana. So you see, to Lo Maharshana, the list that I mentioned, if you want you can listen to this later. This is the lineage of sages and how this rich knowledge has been passed on from one generation to another. Everything has been through oral tradition. So you see, today when we are even talking about Vayu Purana, we have to just feel blessed, or we can, other marvels that are there in the world, maybe you can say the 8 wonders of the world or whatever it is, this, our own scriptures are considered to be marvels, right? Even if we write something on paper and you keep, maybe you misplace it somewhere, we can forget it immediately. But Puranas and so on, like the Vayu Purana itself mentions how it has been passed on from one sage to another, the lineage. So almost, if you would have counted, it is close to 15 to 20 sages. It can be even more. So till Lo Maharshana he has mentioned. Further he passes on to other sages, like that it is kept on passing. Then of course books were available and so on, and today to us everything is available in a proper format, and it becomes quite easy for us to just open the books and go through that, right? But in spite of all this, also if you are not able to study this Purana, that itself just shows our ignorance or ajnana, that's it. So through this, what we see is how rich our culture is, how rich our knowledge systems are, that even through oral tradition for years and centuries together, knowledge was being passed about, and all the sages, they kept whatever they learned, they kept on passing that knowledge, and that's how the future generations could learn. So with this, Lo Maharshana concludes the Vayu Purana. Okay, could everyone get an idea of the Vayu Purana? Yes?
Yes, Rashmi.
Okay. So Vayu Purana, if you see, like the gist, it doesn't have a lot of subject matter as such. Like mainly it talks about the kings of Soma Vamsha, Surya Vamsha. Then it talks about little, you can consider few stories with regards to Brahma, creation and so on. And mainly Vayu Purana, another name for Vayu Purana, if you remember, what is another name for Vayu Purana?
Shiva Purana.
Shiva Purana, correct. So Shiva Purana, Vayu Purana. Some references you will not have Vayu Purana. It is mentioned as Shiva Purana, you must know that it is Vayu Purana. So Shiva Purana and Vayu Purana, both these names are used interchangeably. And the reason why Shiva Purana is called Vayu Purana is, like most commonly, what is the reason is, there is a Shiva Puranam which is popular in Tamil. So to distinct both from Tamil literature and Sanskrit literature, to know the difference, Shiva Purana in Sanskrit, another name for that is also Vayu Purana, wherein Shiva is glorified. And here one more thing which we have to note is Vayu Purana, one special feature or characteristic of Vayu Purana is it tries to showcase things maybe in a slightly different manner. Like for example, you take even the list of the incarnations of Vishnu. The list will differ, but there will be slight differences here and there. Or maybe like even the story of Vishwamitra that we saw yesterday, it differs a bit. So slight differences here and there might be there. So Vayu Purana is known for that. Now this can be seen in all Puranas, but Vayu Purana especially, a few differences you see here and there. Okay. Now next Purana we start. Next Purana is Garuda Purana, I told you. Now let me tell you a disclaimer. Now nobody has to worry. If you listen to the Garuda Purana If you have a book of Garuda Purana, none of you are going to go to hell. In fact, if you listen to Garuda Purana, it is very, very auspicious. People dread listening to the Garuda Purana because it talks a lot about hell, life after death, the Pitru karmas, Pitrus, and so on, then the different punishments. Now, if you see, we have already seen the various kinds of hell and to some extent all the different punishments depending on the sins that we do. This mention is also seen in other Puranas also. We have already covered that. But then in Garuda Purana, it showcases mainly. There are many other topics also that are covered. It's not that it talks only about this death, hell, and so on. But still, people dread, saying that no, it should not be kept, or even the Mahabharata should not be kept. It talks about war. So such things don't happen. Now maybe you keep a very good book in your house, maybe a love story or so. Doesn't mean that everyone is loving and affectionate around you, right? So we cannot just directly. There can be some reason behind it. Maybe the one very practical reason is maybe when we read things with regards to maybe life after death or hell, or very simple example, when you go and watch a horror movie or you read some horror book or so, it has an impact on our mind, right? Like sometimes some things can be disturbing. That can be one valid reason, but no, you should not read it at all, you should not keep in your house and so on. All this is pure nonsense. So don't worry, nothing is going to happen to anyone. In fact, you listen to this, you have the book. In fact, when a person dies also, there is a tradition which is followed in many places wherein the recital of the Garuda Purana takes place. For whomever possible, you should do this. That is within the 13-day karma that we do. If a death or something has taken place, if you read the Garuda Purana, it is very, very auspicious. Now let us start. Now Garuda Purana in all has about 14 chapters and there are a lot of subsections also in between. Now once Suta, now for all the Puranas usually the conversation takes place between Suta. So Suta, once he reaches Naimisharanyam, a holy place, he reaches there and there he finds a lot of sages who are doing a lot of austerities, penance. So all the sages were busy and all of them when they saw Suta had come, they were all very happy and they considered this to be like a very good opportunity, that they had a lot of doubts and they got all of that cleared from Suta. Sage Shaunaka was also present there and he asks a question to Suta saying that who is the creator of this world, who takes care of it, who brings about its end, how can one realize the Almighty, how many incarnations are there, so on. So basically a lot of questions are asked by the sages. Suta replied that I am going to tell you all this as a part of Garuda Purana, which talks about the divine tales of Lord Vishnu. And why this Purana is called Garuda? Because he was the one, Garuda, the bird, Vahana of Vishnu, he was the first one who narrated, he told all these tales, all these stories to sage Kashyapa. And further Kashyapa narrated all that to Vyasa, and from Vyasa I have come to know. To Suta he tells this, that initially it was narrated by Garuda to sage Kashyapa, Kashyapa to Vyasa, Vyasa to Suta. So that's how the knowledge of Garuda Purana has been passed. And the same thing now I'm going to tell all of you. So he tells now Garuda Purana, obviously Vayu Purana glorified Lord Shiva, Garuda Purana is going to glorify Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the supreme, he's the source of all creations, he is the one who nurtures the world, he takes care of the maintenance part and he takes a lot of incarnations in between so that a person will be free from the bondage of birth and death and so on. His first incarnation was in the form of Sanat Kumara and others. This is the reference that the Garuda Purana gives. Sanat Kumara, that is the 4 Manasaputras of Brahma. This is what is a common reference, but Garuda Purana gives a different reference saying that the first incarnation of Lord Vishnu was these 4 Sanat Kumaras. They were all celibates, brahmacharis and they were extremely virtuous. So this is a very interesting aspect that is there. Usually we know the Sanat Kumaras to be the Manasaputras, mind-born sons of Brahma, but the Garuda Purana gives a reference that the first incarnation of Vishnu are the Sanat Kumara and his 4 brothers. Lord Vishnu's second avatara is a form of a boar, Varaha, in order to protect the earth. So like the Vayu Purana, even Garuda Purana also, the order can be a bit different. Second avatara was a Varaha avatara in order to protect the earth from the demon called Hiranyaksha. From the Patal Loka, the Varaha brings back Lord Vishnu. The third incarnation was Narada. Now again Narada, we know him to be a Manasaputra of Brahma, but the Garuda Purana gives this reference that Narada is also considered to be the third incarnation of Vishnu. Now you might have a doubt, why this? Why so much of controversy? What should I believe? Now for this there can be a few reasons. Now Manasaputras is one, and second is when you consider them to be an incarnation, it depends on, like say for example, all of us also, now most of us here, we are all devotees of the Lord, we say, right? We don't say I'm a devotee of Shiva, I'm a devotee of Vishnu, I'm a devotee of Shakti, I'm a devotee of Ganesha, and so on. Though we have our own Ishta Devatas, Grama Devatas, and so on, still we don't believe, or we don't say that I worship only one Lord. So say for example, you have a Shivaratri Puja or so, you go and do the Shivaratri Puja. So there everyone, a lot of Shiva devotees are there. So the group of people will declare you, they will place you under a tag that you are also a great Shiva devotee, right? So you go in that category. Then maybe there is an Ekadashi also. Today is Ekadashi, very very auspicious. God's grace that we are able to listen to this auspicious Purana, Garuda Purana. So maybe you also celebrate Ekadashi, you maybe keep a fast, you chant Vishnu Sahasranama and so on. So maybe with a lot of Vaishnavites, that is Vishnu devotees. So all the people there, maybe a few people there will be only Vaishnavites, that is they will be only devotees of Vishnu. They will term you as the devotee of Vishnu, that is they will consider you one amongst them, right? Now this is one example I am giving. This doesn't mean that we don't belong to any category, that no, I'm only a Shiva devotee, I'm only a Vishnu devotee. We are both, but the group of people, now say for example, you mingle with Shiva devotees, they consider you one amongst them. You mingle with Vishnu devotees, they consider you one amongst them, right? So they don't know about the other, like okay, you are someone who believes in both, we are open to everything. They don't consider that, they just come to, okay, you have joined a group of Vishnu devotees, you are also a great follower of Vishnu. So here also, when the time, at the time period when Garuda Purana was written, it could have happened that now mainly it glorifies Lord Vishnu. So Sanat Kumaras were very much present. So Narada was also very much present. Narada, very great devotee of Lord Narayana, or even Sanat Kumaras and 4 others. So therefore it can be through some references that these 4 boys and Narada also could have been considered to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So this could have been a belief. So just as the group of people amongst whom we mingle also consider them to be a part of us, similarly maybe these sages or Sanat Kumaras and so on would have fallen into that category. Okay. So now what should I believe? Should I believe this? Should I believe that? Now whenever we say an incarnation, doesn't mean that always 100% it will be there, because it is not always a biological birth. It can also be an Amshavatara. For example, Lord Hanuman is an Amshavatara of Lord Shiva, or even Vayu for that matter. Like I think we were discussing about this, right? I told you yesterday only about this. Where was I telling you about Hanuman and all? I told you in this class only, right? Hanuman, Anjana Devi, Punjikasthala. Anyone remembers?
Yes, Lakshmi.
Yesterday only we were telling, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I told somewhere, I don't remember. So it is like basically now Hanuman, if you consider, Kesari and Anjana Devi are the biological parents, but he is also called the son of Vayu. He is also considered to be an Amshavatara of Shiva. So now if you see, he is an incarnation of Shiva, we consider. He is also considered to be a son of Vayu. He is also considered to be the son of Monkey King Kesari, and also the son of Anjana Devi. So now here biologically, logically, legally it is some. Then some, maybe there was an external source, that is there Vayu Bhagavan, and an Amshavatara, wherein because Anjana Devi and Kesari they pray to Lord Shiva says that my own Amsha will be born as your child. Right? So blessings. So therefore all 3 categories are there. Or maybe now when we meet children also, small children also, we tell them, right? Or maybe a girl is born in the house, we tell, oh, Goddess Mahalakshmi has come in your house, right? Maybe if a child has been born in your house, Lord Rama himself or Lord Krishna himself has been born, right? Now this doesn't mean that the child is Rama himself or Krishna himself, but we regard the child. So same thing, why through all these examples why I am telling is, maybe that could have been reasons why maybe Narada or all these 4 sages or something which is quite unique than the common belief. That is usually now Narada and the Sanat Kumaras are considered to be the mind-born sons, Manasaputras of Brahma. But here why the Garuda Purana mentions this, for this it might be a reason that maybe because Narada was considered one of, or is rather the greatest devotees of Lord Vishnu, that can be one reason why he is considered to be an incarnation of Lord Narayana himself. Now why this explanation is needed is, we should never have some doubts in our minds. Now this is my way of interpretation, and this is what we feel is quite logical to some extent, but there can be different reasons, there can be different ways of interpretation also. But then the point which we have to note here is, everything, like if we have to question things, we can just keep questioning, but when we have questions in our mind, we should always try to find out answers. If we don't do that, then no, everywhere I have heard this, Garuda Purana is all false, it talks about something which we never know. If something has been mentioned and for thousands of years together, like in the Vayu Purana we saw, right, orally from one sage to another, Roma Harshana presents the entire list of sages, how it was passed about, that itself shows that something is truly there, that's the reason why it has been passed, right? Now there are so many things, you say something in the morning, by evening we forget that. Why it happens so? Because that is the intensity, or that is only a very, you can say, the small level of importance that is there. But things that are very very important also, it will not pass. Maybe for 100 years, 200 years, even if the person dies also, few things are remembered, and only things which are of great importance, that only will be preserved. So when all these Puranas have been passed, they have been written thousands of years back, until date if we know about them, that itself shows their importance, their significance and their prominence that is there. So therefore, because we don't know the reasons, or because we feel that some things can be amiss here and there, doesn't mean that these things are false also. I'm not trying to make all of you believe that no, what has been mentioned is 100% true, you have to believe it. It's not like that. But then jumping to conclusions without doing our own research, our own study is wrong. So therefore, my way of interpretation, I have told you, there can be different ways of interpretation. So the third avatara was Narada. First was Sanat Kumara, second was Varaha, third was Narada. Fourth avatara, as per the Garuda Purana, is Nara and Narayana. Nara is Arjuna, Narayana is Lord Krishna himself, and both of them, they do a lot of austerities also for the protection of Dharma. Now Nara and Narayana, they are present in Badrika Ashrama. Who has gone to Badrinath? Has everyone gone to Badrinath?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, Rishmi.
Sanjeev ji, Shyamala ji
Yes,
have gone.
yes.
Revati ji.
Yes.
Okay. All others also, if you wish to go, like of course, including myself, I too have not gone. But those who wish to go, a suggestion that you should go soon. Why so? Because it seems that Badrinath Dham is going to get extinct very soon. Now, the climate conditions are one, but in some of the Puranas, some references, it is said that there is a temple of Narasimha, it seems, a pillar of Narasimha, and there was a mention that till that pillar of Narasimha, that is a Lord idol of Narasimha, is there on this earth, till then this temple will survive. After that, it will not survive. And now it seems that slowly the pillar of this Narasimha idol has vanished. Now only a needle size idol, or so needle size stone, that much only is available. And that too, if it vanishes, all the roads, all the Badrinath Dham will become inaccessible, it seems, and then people have to go and I think worship. There is some other form of Badri, I cannot remember that now. I think Bhavishya Badri or something they call some dham, that is another form of Lord Badrinath. There is some other dham also. It will be considered as a part of this Char Dham. So basically, the temple will not get shifted, but they will have to. There is another Lord. The Lord will be placed in some other place, and that's where you have to worship. So those who wish to go to Badrinath Dham, you must do it soon. These are all now different reasons that are told. I don't know how far it is true. Whatever I have read about, I'm sharing. Chandrika ji.
I heard another version that there is this Lord Narasimha idol there, and the left hand of that Lord is becoming thinner.
Left hand, right. Not the idol itself, left hand is getting thinner.
So
Yes.
then the
And now I
hand
think
falls
only a
down.
needle size is remaining, right? Yes. Correct.
But they have already started building the new Badri.
What is that called? Bhavishya Badri.
I have seen the video of that, but it is called Badrinath only. But
Badrinath, but I think it is Bhavishya Badri, that is in future also.
Bhavishya Badri,
Yeah,
right.
something
Bhavishya
like that is.
Badri.
Yes, the left hand of Narasimha. Yes, correct. So not the entire idol of Narasimha. There is a statue of Narasimha near the Badrinath Dham, and the left hand is getting smaller and smaller, and now only a needle size is remaining, it seems. So, and obviously now even Kedarnath also, for that matter, maybe such stories are not told with regards to Kedarnath, but then considering the climatic conditions and things that are happening in North India also, nowadays it is very dangerous to go there. But still, as per convenience, Yatha Shakti, we must, if you want to go do it in your young age only, that too very soon, because things might vanish also, and then we might have a feeling that I did not go. Okay? So this is, I just remembered here. So Nara and Narayana, they are present in Badrika Ashrama, and there is a belief that Nara and Narayana both are there. Just as you have the Nidhivanam. Anyone has heard about Nidhivan? Where is Nidhivanam? Nidhivan. It is in Vrindavan. Vrindavan, no? wherein, now those who have gone to Vrindavan, maybe you would have visited this place, Nidhivan, wherein it is believed that Lord Krishna does Rasa Leela with the Gopikas, and it's a belief that even till date Krishna comes there at night, and with all the Gopikas they also come, and the Rasa Leela is being done. That's the reason you can go and visit the Nidhivan only during daytime. At night time they don't allow. So these are all beliefs that are there, wherein very closely, if you listen to those trees also, you can hear the sound of flute and Rasa Leela taking place. Now all this is a question of faith, how much it happens and so on, we don't know. But then there is a belief, and the folklores and local tales have. So like this, now all this is like, maybe it does not have a record anywhere. Somewhere some reference would have been made, like a passing reference, maybe no one pays heed to this. Now all this also, when I am telling, including myself also, how much we believe in this, we never know, right? Because now for this you might have, and though it is deviating from the topic, you might have a question that things which we have to believe, sometimes we ourselves cannot believe. Now, why we don't believe is because we have this thought in our mind that the Lord will never come, right? So whereas devotees like Prahlada, Dhruva and so on, they had the belief and so much of, you can say, faith that the Lord will come in front of me, he will manifest and so on. That's the reason Dhruva, Prahlada, though he did not do penance or so like Dhruva, he had so much of faith in his Lord that something will happen very good, and he had only one wish, that my father, in spite of Hiranyakashipu ill-treating him, he had one wish, that my father Hiranyakashipu should turn into a good man. It is said that the Lord himself created another Hiranyakashipu who turned to be a good father for Prahlada. So there is another reference, I think it comes in the Vishnu Sahasranama stories. So the point that is told is, in the case of all of us, when we always complain saying that no, I also do everything but the Lord never comes in front of me and so on, logically, if you think very deeply, in our minds we have, if the Lord, you just imagine the Lord himself, if he comes in front of you and says that I am the Lord, first instance we are not going to believe, right? Who are you, where have you come, all this is so many fraud, fake cases, because the thought is there in our minds that the Lord will never come. You can see him in temples, idols and so on. So all of us, we have this belief. So therefore, when like concepts are being told, like in Nidhivanam, like Vrindavan, this is one example where Krishna does Rasa Leela with his Gopikas every night. Sometimes it might become difficult to believe, but then maybe people who have experience, they have their own responses. But then in our cases, the Lord, how can he come? Maybe in the Krishna Avatara times he was there, we have not seen him. We might also be there, we might be present there, but we don't remember what happened in our past births. So therefore I cannot jump to conclusions now. This is what most of us we say. But then there are beliefs in like this, many folklores that are told. Yes, Sanjeev ji.
Yes, madam, in the great saint Namdev,
Huh.
Sri Krishna was there for so many days, so he could not recognize it.
Where you are saying?
Saint Namdev.
Nanded, huh?
Namdev.
Namdev, huh? Correct.
He was a spiritual devotee of Krishna.
Hmm.
He stayed in his house for so many days, but he could not recognize it.
Correct. So in Abhanga literature, Bhakti literature, that is there, Abhanga, like Namdev, he said, Sage Namdev. At that time, he too had his own experiences. So like this, there can be experiences. Those who experience, they have faith. But the thing is, because we have not experienced, we cannot jump to conclusion saying that something is false or true. Okay, so coming back now, so Nara and Narayana are very much present in Badrikashrama. It is a belief that they stayed till date there, and even Uddhava, the childhood friend of Krishna, he was sent by Krishna there. He tells Uddhava that he proceed to Badrikashrama. When Lord Balarama also towards the end, after the Gadha Yuddham between Duryodhana and Bhima, Balarama also goes on a pilgrimage with his wife Revati to Badrikashrama. And the significance of this place Badrikashrama is a lot of penance, tapasya is being done. So whenever we go to Badrikashrama, at least for 5 minutes or so, you should do meditation and only come back. Then the Lord's fifth incarnation was Kapila Muni, famous propounder of Sankhya philosophy. And at that time it seems that Sankhya philosophy almost was on the verge of becoming extinct. But then somehow Kapila Muni, he took an avatara, and in the form of Lord Vishnu, that is Lord Vishnu in the form of Kapila, he put in efforts in order to propagate Sankhya Shastra. Now this Sankhya is different from Sankhya Yoga of the Gita. Remember this? Like this is also about the soul, Atma and so on. In the Narayanam you have a reference to this. Which Dashakam? Anyone knows? Kapilopakyanam? Everyone has learned Narayam recently. Most of you must know. Which Dashakams? 15? Kapilopakhyanam. Kapilatanurititvam devahutainyavadi. 14 and 15.
14 and 15 are chanted together.
Yes. So that is Kapila's Upadeshaka, the birth of Kapila and Kapila Upadesham. That is nothing but Sankhya Shastra. So even Kapila Upakhyanam is also there in Srimad Bhagavatam also. So all such things you can remember so that it will always be useful. Okay, next, sixth incarnation is Lord Dattatreya, who was born in the house of Atri and Anasuya. And the main objective was he had to propagate. He had to spread the most secret Brahma Vidya to worthy people, it seems. His disciples were Prahlada and so on. Seventh avatar of Lord Vishnu was as the son, he was known as Yajnadeva. He was a son of Ruchi Prajapati, Ruchi and Akuti, Yagyadeva, Yajnadeva, Yagadeva, there are different references. Eighth incarnation was of Rishabhadeva, son of sage Nabhi and Meru Devi. Now these are all stories which are not that common, but Garuda Purana highlights all this. Then in this incarnation as Rishabhadeva, the Lord highlights the norms for Grihastha Ashrama Dharma, which later on, that is till date, whatever rules that we follow for Grihastha Ashrama Dharma, be it marriage, begetting children, or the different rituals that surround us. Maybe you buy a new house, you have the Griha Pravesha Puja, or maybe when children are born, we do the Namakarana, Jata Karma, or as householders, you have Agnihotra Karma and so on. All these karmas have to be done. But now why here, you might have a doubt here, why Rishabhadeva's incarnation is mentioned is, there can be one reason is, whenever you do the Shraddha Karma, as per our culture, when you do the Shraddha Karma final rites, it is always advisable that a Grihastha should only do. As a Brahmachari you do, that is fine, but then when you do it with a Grihastha, you must always have the wife along, only then the karma is complete. That's the reason why you see when the person who dies, if that person is a Brahmachari or a Brahmacharini, if they are not married, the rituals are different. And for a Grihastha or a husband or wife who is married, for them the rituals are different. You would have noticed this. So that is because the karma, Shraddha Karma, when we offer it to our ancestors means both our parents, right? Both parents are there. So Pitrus, whenever we say Pitrus, both the male and female, both of them should be there. That's the reason this Grihastha Ashrama Dharma is very, very important. Lord Vishnu's ninth avatara is Prithu, wherein Prithvi, that's how he milked goddess Prithvi. Prithvi was there in the form of a cow, and he provided various nutrients, cereals, pulses, rice, grains and so on. 10th avatara was Matsya, it seems, and he protected the life of Vaivasvata Manu, who would have not survived during the Pralaya Kala, that is the end of the world. Then 11th avatara, Kurma avatara, wherein he held the Mandara mountain on his back. 12th avatara was of Dhanvantari, Lord of Ayurveda, and 13th was the female avatara, enchanting avatara, Mohini avatara, in order to delude the demons and get the pot of Amrita. And he distributed Vishnu in the form of Mohini distributes Amrita amongst the deities. 14th incarnation, Nrisimha, wherein Prahlada worshipped, and in order to protect his devotee Prahlada, Vishnu took this avatara as a Nrsimha and he kills the demon Hiranyakashipu. 15th avatara, Vamana avatara, wherein Bali's pride was brought down and Bali was made the chief of Patala. 16th avatara, Parshurama, entire Kshatriya Kula is wiped off 21 times. 17th incarnation, he was born as Vyasa to Parashara and Satyavati, and his main mission was propagating the Vedas, compiling the Vedas and categorizing them into 4 parts, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. Then 18th avatara is of Sri Rama, 19th avatara Krishna, 20th is Balarama as per the Garuda Purana. He will take his 21st avatara as Buddha. This is mentioned in Garuda Purana. So till maybe the time wherein Garuda Purana has been written, there was no mention of, that is Buddha avatara had not taken place. The latest avatara was Balarama only. So because it is written in Bhavishya Kalaha, future tense, the next avatara, 21st incarnation of Vishnu will be Buddha, wherein mainly the aim was to bring mankind on the right path by preaching values and so on, and proving that people, a seeker, should not be bound by a lot of you can say evil things or a lot of rituals. Now rituals, when we see, that is okay. Now one significance of Buddha avatara that is there is, Buddha, if you see, his main aim was not to preach a lot of rituals also. Say for example, now you have a certain Griha Pravesha Puja at our houses. For that, if you ask the priest, he will tell you a list of things that you have to buy, and then different, you start from the morning, 2-3 hours you have to sit. So in that, and then you have a lot of guests to attend and so on. So some people don't like this way, right? Instead of that, what they do, maybe they do a small puja also. They say, okay, it is happy. They'll not call a lot of people because they say, no, I want to focus on the main puja part and so on. There can be a third category of people wherein they say that no, we don't want to invite a priest also from outside. We only maybe want to do our own Vastu Shanti or our own meditation and so on, keep the place good. So it depends on everyone. So basically Buddha, he was in that path wherein he does not follow any rituals also as such, and he was against rituals. Now why mainly against rituals is, whenever we have to follow a lot of rituals, we have to pay attention on maybe the arrangement parts, or maybe people are being invited, so should we serve them and so on. So basically Buddha, what he tries to highlight is, it is for a true seeker who wants to know about Brahman, the reality, it is better that you don't follow a lot of rituals that are there, you don't be caught in that. So this is you just be a good human being and so on. Satya, Asteya, Parigraha, just as in Buddhism also it is highlighted. Of course, this with Buddha is Sugata Buddha, which now the Gautama Buddha and Sugata Buddha, as we know, both are different. That is what is most of the references tell. But this Buddha in the form of Vishnu, mainly his aim was to bring people on the right path by keeping things simple. Now sometimes this also can be logical, right? But that doesn't mean that we don't, whatever traditions or rituals which we have to follow, you have to do it. But then sometimes too much, when we get into rituals, the main bhakti part remains on one side, and then we are engrossed in rituals fully. So that too we have to be careful. So mainly the 21st Avatara Buddha will be to propagate this. And finally Lord Vishnu will take an incarnation as Kalki. He will be born as a Brahmana named Vishnu Yasha, and he will liberate this earth from all kinds of sinners. So in the initial part of Garuda Purana, you have a list of almost 22 avatars of Lord Vishnu, which has been mentioned. Same has been mentioned even in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, how Garuda Purana was propagated to all the sages? Huh? Anyone wants to say something?
Tell me the 12th one.
12th, one second.
After
Dhanvantari.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't get the 9th and 10th one.
One second. 9th is Prithu and the 10th is Matsya.
Okay, the 8th then?
One second, I'll tell you from beginning, everyone, if you want, you note it down. First is Sanat Kumara and the 4 brothers. Then second, Varaha. Third, Narada. Fourth, Naranarayana. Fifth, Kapila. Sixth, Dattatreya. Seventh, Yagnadeva or Yagadeva. Eighth, Rishabhadeva. Ninth, Prithu. 10th, Matsya. 11th, Kurma. 12th, Dhanvantari. 13th, Mohini. 14th, Nrisimha. 15th, Vamana. 16th, Parshurama. 17th, Vyasa. 18th, Krishna. 18th, Rama. 19th, Krishna. 20th, Balarama. Future 2 avatars. 21st, Buddha. 22nd, Kalki. Okay.
Dhanyavad.
Yeah. Now next the topic is how Garuda Purana will be propagated. Okay. Now on being asked by the sages, now Suta, all the sages, they ask that how come you know about the contents of Garuda Purana. Suta tells that all this knowledge has been passed upon, I have attained. So then how did you come to know about all this? From where did you learn? So for that Suta tells a story. He tells that once I had gone to Badrikashrama where I met sage Vyasa, and I too, like all of you are asking me, I too asked him questions on various spiritual matters also, to which he agreed. And then as he started telling me the tales of Garuda Purana, which was first told by Brahma to Narada, then to Daksha Prajapati, and then to myself. Then sage Vyasa, he then told Suta how once sage Vyasa along with Narada, Daksha and Bhrigu, they had gone to Brahmaloka to see Brahma. And after reaching there, all three of them, Narada, Daksha and Bhrigu, all three of them, they request Brahma that you talk about what exactly is real knowledge and so on. So at that time Lord Brahma tells him that Garuda Purana has the essence of all the scriptures, and Lord Vishnu himself has narrated his divine tales to Brahma. So the same thing, it has been passed about. So the Garuda Purana, if you see, it is as if the Lord himself has spoken about a lot of aspects, and that is what we are looking at today. Now Brahma describes this further, and he tells that Lord Vishnu had told the divine tales of Garuda Purana to myself and to Lord Shiva. That is, once I went to Kailasa along with Indra and all other gods, we found Shiva engrossed in meditation, and there we asked Shiva on whom was he meditating. At that time, Shiva told us that he was meditating on omnipresent, omniscient, one and only Lord Vishnu, on whom the entire universe exists. This line is highlighted, shows the unity between Shaivism and Vaishnavism, wherein Lord Shiva himself is seen to be meditating on Lord Vishnu. So today when we are fighting on things that Shiva's devotees are great or Vishnu's devotees are great, or if Shaivite does not worship Lord Vishnu or a Vaishnavite does not worship Lord Shiva, you see Lord Shiva himself is worshipping Lord Vishnu. He himself mentions this in the Garuda Purana, that too in the initial part. If you want the reference, note down 1.1.2. Later you can check in the original book. And there are so many references like Vishnu. In Rama Avatara, he has built the Rameshwara Linga, right? So Ramasya Ishwaraha, Rameshwaraha, he says, is my Lord. Rama's Ishwara is Rameshwara. So you see, both the gods are worshipping each other. The gods do not have a problem, but devotees have a problem. We don't like Shiva's devotees worshipping Vishnu and Vishnu's devotees worshipping Shiva. Lord themselves, they are worshipping each other, but we are having problems. So you see, like this, there are innumerable references where each of the gods are worshipping, like Shiva worships Vishnu and vice versa. But then the problem that takes place is with mankind, or even now this is one reference, even with the caste system which has come in today, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, or even Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grihastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha Ashrama, Sannyasa Ashrama. Everywhere when we raise out questions, like in the Gita also today in the morning 18th chapter, few of us we saw together, right? Karmani and as per Swabhava, that is as per one's own karma and as per one's own Swabhava, that is one's behavioral nature, and karma, that is their actions. The four categories are divided as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It has got nothing to do with maybe one is superior or one is inferior. In later times, mankind is wherein they felt that no, some discrimination is taking place, we need to fight for our rights and so on. Now why? Not only based on one's karma, that is based on one's actions and professions that we follow. So mainly for Brahmanas it is teaching and learning and spreading their knowledge. Kshatriyas is administration, Vaishyas is a business class, Shudras is a service sector, hospitality and so on. So everyone was given their own set of responsibilities, and also Swabhava. Swabhava is nature of this. So that is that in the morning. Anyone was there in the morning? I think Sanjeev ji were there, right? Anuradha ji was there. Yeah, both of you were there. So I told you the example of, sorry if it is being repeated for you, this context, no. It is there. Yeah. So I gave the example of Karna then. That is, Karna, when he goes and he sits with his Guru Parshurama. Parshurama, we know his enemy were the Kshatriyas. So once when Karna considers Parshurama to his Guru, Parshurama was sleeping on the lap of Karna. And at that time an insect comes and bites Karna. But Karna does not react because he feels that if I react, my Guru will get disturbed and his sleep will be disturbed. So later Parshurama gets up, there is blood everywhere, and Parshurama's clothes also they got wet due to the blood. Immediately Parshurama gets up and says, who are you? Tell me your real identity. I am sure you are not a Brahmana. So Karna then reveals, he says no. Initially he refuses because he is in shock. How come this person knows about him? How come Parshurama comes to know, and so on. But then immediately Parshurama gets to know that you are truly a Kshatriya, because only a Kshatriya has got the powers to tolerate things, because Kshatriyas, they are in warfare, they fight wars and so on. So that's the reason why their physical strength will always be at the highest level, topmost. So if you can bear something, Brahmanas can never be tolerant. They can never suffer much. That is, their physical strength is quite low. You are a Kshatriya, that's the reason you are physically quite strong. So this shows the nature that is there. Here there is no discrimination, right? In fact, here if you see Brahmanas are shown low, Kshatriyas are shown at a higher stage. Because physically strong Kshatriyas have this capacity. Parshurama was an enemy of Kshatriyas, and that is when he curses. Curses is basically, he tells Karna, I will not be your Guru anymore. So like this, there are many instances that are there, or even you have the combination of two dharmas also, two ways of life. Best example, Janaka Rajarishi. You have this reference in the Gita also. Special now, though he was a Raja, though he was a Kshatriya, he had the qualities of a Rishi, a Brahmana. So this also can be there. So it depends on one's karma and one's swabhava also. In Chitrakuta, wherein both the parties, Rama, Vasishta, Bharata, all of them, they could not come to the conclusion. Rama was not ready to return back to Ayodhya. Bharata was and become the king. Bharata was not ready to return back to Ayodhya and become the king. He wanted Rama to come with him. He didn't want Rama to stay in the forest. So like this, now each one of them, they were correct, right? Rama said, no, I have to fulfill the promise given to my parents, to Kaikeyi and Dasharatha, therefore I cannot return back. Bharata says that if I do this, people will keep mocking me. What my mother has done is terribly sinful, so therefore I have to bring you back. If I don't bring you back, I will incur sin. If I don't take you back to Ayodhya, if I don't make you the king of Ayodhya, I will incur sin. What about that? So both the parties, both of them were right in their own way. Even Vasishta also, at that time, he could not come to a conclusion. He advises that let us call Sita's father Janaka. He is a Rajarishi, he will surely help. And that's when Janaka suggests that we'll do one thing. You carry the padukas of of Rama. That's when you have the famous Paduka Sahasram written by Vedanta Deshika. Sometimes, God willing, we will learn that too. Paduka Sahasram, very auspicious, written by Vedanta Deshika, wherein he highlights the padukas of Rama, padukas of the Lord. So Janaka says that you carry the padukas of Rama along with you, you install it on the throne. Keeping padukas is equal to installing the throne. So your wish will also be fulfilled and Rama's promise will also not go waste. After 14 years, when Rama returns, he can take away the padukas and he himself will be installed. So this shows the nature of Janaka. That is there. Like this, there are many people, or even Vishwamitra for that matter. Initially, he was a great king, Kshatriya, and then he became a Brahmarshi towards the end. Maharshi, Rajarishi, Maharshi, Brahmarshi, right? So he had a lot of enmity, he had Kshatriya qualities. In fact, we have seen in detail the story of Vishwamitra that comes in the Valmiki Ramayana. So many hurdles he had to go to, but still he did not give up on his tapasya. Apsara who came, Menaka, she comes in Rambha, Menaka, I think Menaka, right? She comes many times in order to disturb. Then in between, some person comes to ask his help, his penance is disturbed. Then he gets into argument with someone. Then Trishanku's incident comes. Just yesterday we saw the story of Trishanku from the Ikshvaku lineage. Like this, so many hurdles comes, but still he does not give up on his ability to attain that status of a Brahma Rishi. That is there, a great Rishi. So he was also born as a king only, a Kshatriya. Later he turned out to be a sage, a Brahmana. So like this, there are things based on one. It can also be a mingling of two communities. So no one is born by birth. I am born in so and so family. Now say for example you are born in a Brahmin family. You don't follow even one thing of a Brahmin, you are not a Brahmin, right? Nowadays now such things are not much seen, but still today also all of us we discriminate people based on caste or based on religion, based on even the practices that we follow. Say everyone they have their own ways of practice. We cannot point down or put down someone. At the same time, we keep fighting amongst ourselves, and that too on things which have never been told that way. Like in at least whatever references all of us have gone through and what I myself have seen, never ever anywhere it has been mentioned that a Brahmana has to do this, or a Hindu has to do this, a Muslim has to do this, a Christian has to do this. None of our scriptures mention that. Bhavishya Purana, we saw a mention of different religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and so on, how it grew. So if Hinduism or if one culture has to talk only about one practice, then you will not have the mention of other religions, right? So whatever came in has been mentioned as it is. Well, even about this caste system, which today we call it as caste, in fact it was just a class, right? That is, today just as we have different professions, in those times the society was quite small, but still they too needed doctors, teachers, and so on, even the business community. So that is where there was a need to segregate the society into 4 parts. Even in the Gita, only 18th chapter, the behavior, or you can say how one person, like for example Vaishyas, what they do is Krishi Gauraksha Vanijyam, Krishi agriculture, Gorakshanam animal husbandry, Vanijyam commerce. The business class is known for that. This is what they have to follow, and through their nature also you can see. The best example is, I told in the morning also, especially the Gujaratis and the Marwadis who are there, they have this nature of business in them, right? Now it doesn't mean that all others also don't do business, but these people are known for doing business a lot. They're business minded people. You ask them anything related to money, immediately they will tell you. They don't need a calculator. They can do even the highest of calculations on their mind. At the tip of their fingers, they know the ideas of business and so on, right? So that is their nature, that is there. They are born with that. Maybe generations together they practice it and so on. So like this, each category and people living in different parts have their own ways, own practices, own swabhava. It's everyone's own nature, right? So the different sections that are there, it has got nothing to do with discrimination. It's just that the society is divided based on one's own actions and the swabhava, nature that you have. Plus it can also be the mingling of two classes that are there, like I gave you the example of Janaka or Vishwamitra and so on. So here we coming back, we see that Shiva also was praying to Lord Vishnu. At that time, so all the gods had come along with Brahma, and Shiva also tells that he too, though he was meditating on the Lord also, he also said that I want to know more about Vishnu's power, and all of us, let us go and ask Lord Vishnu himself. So all of them, including Shiva, they all go to Vishnu Loka, Vaikuntham. They request, they tell Lord Vishnu that we have a lot of doubts on various topics. It has led to a lot of confusion. You please clear all our doubts. Lord Vishnu gave a long discourse and that covered all the major topics. This is nothing but the Garuda Purana. Then Lord Vishnu first tells Shiva that, and all the other gods were present there. He tells, I am the one who is a controller and of whatever happens in the universe. Those who worship me, I ensure that they get moksha and so on. Further, Vishnu narrates a story that once it so happened that my bird, that is my Vahana Garuda, he did severe penance. In order to please me, I went in front of him and I told him that whatever boon you want, you ask. Garuda said that he wants to liberate his mother Vinata from the slavery of Kadru, that is his stepmother. Kadru is a mother of serpents, Nagas. And he said that he also, that his mother Vinata was being insulted at many times, so I want to take revenge for all that. And he also said that I want to attain moksha, I want to become immortal, and I want one Purana to be named after me, and that's how Garuda Purana is named after Garuda. And one more boon that he asked was, I want to become your Vahana, that is, I want to become your mount. So Vishnu says that I blessed Garuda in this way, all his wishes were fulfilled. And on once requested by sage Kashyapa, Garuda tells all the divine tales of Garuda Purana to him. And sage Kashyapa, it seems that he brought back a dead tree to life with the help of Garuda Vidya, which is a sacred mantra that is found in Garuda Purana. We'll look at this later. And similarly, like this, Garuda had brought back many dead creatures back to life with the help of the same mantra. So this is the initial part of how Garuda Purana got its name, what is the background of Garuda, and then the story of creation starts. Lord Shiva then requests Vishnu to tell us about Sarga, Pratisarga, Vamsha, Manvantara, Vamshanucharita. What is all this? 5 words? Have you heard it somewhere?
Yeah, in the introduction to
yeah. So in the introduction, I just asked you. In introductory part, what exactly is the contents of the Puranas? Sarga, Pratisarga, Vamsha, Manvantara, Vamshanucharita. Meaning, the Puranas talk about the world in general, various dynasties, various families, various Manvantaras, that is the time periods, yugas, and also the genealogy, geography, history, and so on. So basically the content, the subject matter of Puranas are these 5 words. So Lord Vishnu replies that Lord Vasudeva, that is Lord Krishna, in my incarnation of Nara and Narayana, I perform the duty of creation, protection and destruction. Every small particle or atom that is found in this universe is nothing but the presence of the Almighty, and initially it is subtle nature. We have something called Sukshma Sharira, Sthula Sharira and so on. Same thing has been mentioned here. And we have something called Atma. We call the Lord as Purusha. You have the Purusha Sutta and so on. So basically a lot of philosophical terms have been used. Then from the subtle matter of nature, you have something called mind that has been come, or intelligence. Then space or Akasha has come from the mind. Air or Vayu has come from space. Fire or Teja has come from air. Water has come from Teja, that is fire, and that's how finally earth has manifested itself from fire. I repeat, mind has come from intelligence, space has come from mind, air has come from space, fire has come from air, water has come from fire, and finally the earth has manifested herself from water. So this is how we have the Panchamahabhutas, 5 basic elements. Then there was a large egg. I live within that egg. All the other deities also live. So here you see when Vishnu mentions that I live within this egg, he also mentions all other deities and gods are also present inside that. This shows that Vishnu doesn't only talk about himself, he says that all deities are also there. This again shows the equality that is there between gods. So different Puranas glorify different things. Like in many Puranas you have Brahma who's there in a golden egg also. He comes out, he starts the process of creation. Sometimes we have Lord Shiva also. When he is glorified in a particular Purana, you have Lord Shiva who's shown at a higher scale, right? So like this there are different references and mentions that are there. But here Lord Vishnu, he says that I am present inside that egg. All other gods are also there. The entire universe is also situated inside. And then in the form of Brahma, the process of creation starts. Then in the form of Vishnu, maintenance takes place. Then in the form of Shiva, creation takes place. This shows that the Lord is one and one, only there are different forms as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So why this Vishnu highlights is saying that the Almighty Lord is only one. He just assumes different forms to take over different responsibilities. Very simple example. Now we have a company. Company is only one, right? But then there are different positions. A manager, an executive, senior executive, whatever it is. Why different positions are given? Ultimately, all of us are working towards the same goal, that is to ensure that the company is making profits, right? Including the manager, including the head of the company, everyone is working towards the same goal, right? But then different responsibilities are given to different people so that the functioning, the administration part becomes easy. Same thing here also. Ultimate goal is to sustain this universe, to take care of this universe, but then different responsibilities. The same Lord, he ensures that he assigns the responsibilities to different people, and that's how we have the manifestation in different forms, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Then first, the creation of Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is nothing but Tattva Jnana, that is the highest level of knowledge. Then you have the 5 elements. First, because the first creation is this Tattva, that is Tattva Jnana, Almighty Brahman that we call, that is called as Sarga. Then the second is the Pancha Mahabhutas that were created, 5 basic elements from which you have the formation of matter. Next you have the sense organs, and that is the Karmendriyas, action, through which we do some action. Then you have the Jnanendriyas. Now what is Jnanendriyas? Karmendriyas is maybe hand, sense organs, 5 sensory organs. Jnanendriyas is mind, intellect and so on. If you don't have a mind, if our mind is not stable, we cannot use our sensory organs, right? So that's the reason when we see people suffering from some kind of mental illnesses also, you see that there is no use for them to have a physical body. They don't know to use their body, they don't know to use their hands, legs, they don't know what they are doing. That is because they don't have intellect. So Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas. Then you have the fourth that is there is immovable things, that is nature in general, mountains, trees and so on. Then the next that is there is, it is called Tiryaka Sarga. Fifth is animals and birds. Sixth is Deva Sarga, deities or celestial beings, Apsaras, Gandharvas, Yakshas and so on. Seventh is human beings or Manusha Sarga. Eighth is Anugraha Sarga. What is Anugraha Sarga? That is things that are pure as well as, that is Sattvic as well as Tamasic. So now, why? Now you might have a doubt. Why, if everything was good, then there will be no negativity, no evil things and so on, right? But then the Lord felt that if everything and everyone is always blessed with only good things, we'll never value evil things. If evil things are not there, we'll never value good things, right? If everything is happening very nice in life, right? If everyone without doing any work also, if you are blessed with money, a lot of wealth, good people, everything is there, nobody will put in efforts, right? Maybe every day we'll just be lazing around, we'll be sleeping. But then every day, why every week we feel, no, Monday has come, tomorrow I have to go to work. Maybe you put in efforts every day. Or maybe you have to eat something, we know only if I cook I can eat, right? So that is, if you don't cook, you cannot eat. So there everything is not ready-made. The Lord has not blessed us, though He has given us different things to make our life comfortable. But directly every day, I'll just close my eyes, I find a plate of food in front of me, right? Or I wish I get a lot of money, I get a lot of money on my table. It doesn't happen that way. Nothing is magic, right? But then the Lord ensures that living beings, let them put some efforts. He has given you the means to get the food, That is, you have to put, you have all the ingredients you bought from the shop, you have to put in efforts to cook the food, right? So that is very, you can say, how we have the famous proverb, the horse can be brought till the water, but it cannot be made to drink the water, right? So the Lord has made all of us like the horse. He has made us reach till water, but if you have to drink it, you have to only put in efforts. Only then we know the value of things. If everything good happens, then we never respect things that are there around, things and people that are there. So that's how we see, right? When we have someone who's always available and who's always present, we don't care. But the absence of a person matters. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. The same thing. So here also, that's when you have the introduction or the creation of both sattvic and tamasic things that are there, both good and evil things. And the ninth is Kaumara. Kaumara is nothing but Danavas, Daityas, boys, girls, and so on. So like this, different creations are born. Next, Lord Brahma. So all this was done by Lord Vishnu. Initially, with Brahma takes guidance from Vishnu, he starts all this. Then Brahma further continues a creation, 10 Manasa Putras are born. Then other people like deities, Danavas, Devas, ancestors, human beings are created. Then Asuras were created from the thigh of Brahma. That is, all the dark qualities that are there from the body resulted in the formation of night. A creation that is, you can say, why the concept of night came in. It pleases the demons a lot. So that's the reason you see demons get a lot of power during night time. They were born from the thighs of Brahma. That's the reason it is always said you should not hit your thighs, or maybe thighs are always considered. Some people have this habit, right? You keep patting your thighs. That should never be done. It's considered to be an evil omen. Why it is ill omen? Why it is considered bad omen? Because asuras are said to be born from the thigh part that is there. Of course, these are all beliefs, but then so all the negative energy also is present there. Okay, and even you have from the Urubangam episode, Bhima hitting the thigh of Duryodhana. So basically, most of the evil things are there. But in a good context also, like you have to make your child sit, you make him sit on your lap, right? So that is where the thighs are useful. So you use your thighs in a good way, that is fine. But some people have a habit of maybe patting their thighs or maybe hitting their thighs on the ground and so on. That should never be done. So finally the Asuras were also born. And like this, Lord Brahma then gets a new form. After the Asuras were born, he gets a pure form of sattvic nature. He creates the deities from his mouth. And then this results in the creation of daytime that is there. That's the reason why we do a lot of pujas and so on in the daytime, because all of us are worshippers of God. Those who worship Asuras, they will do that in night time. On Asuras only, they worship the Lord during night time. Then Lord Brahma got another form. He created the Pitrus, and he gave up that body. At the time Sandhya, or the concept of evening, came in. Then he got a form called Rajomaya, that is in between human beings. That's how human beings are created. Rajomaya is nothing but tit for tat. Like most of us, if you see human beings, they have good nature as well as evil nature. Depending on the situation, we very smartly create. And this led to something called Pratapkala. When after the creation of human beings, when Lord Brahma gave up his body, so after every creation he used to abandon his body and get a new body. At that time, dawn, the concept of dawn came in. Then different species like Yaksha, Sarpa, Gandharvas, many more creatures were created from different parts of his body. All the 4 Vedas also manifested from each. Brahma has 4 faces, Chaturananaha, each of the 4 mouths, the 4 Vedas came. Then the 4 classes, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, manifested from different parts of the body of Brahma. From Brahma's mouth, you have Brahmanas, because they are known for teaching. From the arms, you have Kshatriyas, because for their physical strength. Vaishyas is from their thighs. For business purposes also, they have to travel about here and there, so from the thighs. And Shudra. Now here you see thighs is used in a good context. And feet is whenever, that is the service sector. Whenever we surrender ourselves, we always fall at the feet of the Lord. So that is the Shudra community emerged from the feet. This reference you also get in the Purusha Suktam from the Vedas. Okay, so with this we stop here. Next you have how the creation continues. We look at this next week.